But OpenAI's next model is now the next tier of foundation models coming out. So up until now, believe it or not, most of the improvements to model architecture of like last year and a half or so haven't actually been like mega new models. What they've been is they've been like post-training approaches on new models. But the real like meat and potatoes of it, like the GPT-3 to GPT-4, what that is, it's like a fundamentally new pre-trained different model that's like bigger in parameter count. And so these minor optimizations that we've seen have like taken a base intelligence and made it better and better and better and better. GPT-5 to GPT 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4. Same thing with Opus 4, right? But they're saying, well, now we have Spud in the mix, and Spud is incredible. And this is right around the time that I think a lot of people started predicting that like the next run of foundation models would come out. But you know, what I'm personally looking forward to is I'm just looking forward to everybody like having to kind of come to the realization that the moat the entire time has not been the framework that you use. It hasn't been like the approach that you use, the wrappers. It's literally just the model intelligence. The model intelligence is like 99% of it. So when the Spud model hits, I think people immediately find everything is just way better all the time. And you could probably raw dog this thing. You could probably like have zero framework connected to it, okay? And then within like 5 minutes, it will help you bootstrap the optimal framework around it to like accomplish its needs. That's how smart it is. You know, a lot of people are saying the Spud thing is going to be AGI. And the reason why OpenAI is talking about releasing it now is because of the Mythos leak and the fact that like, okay, well now that, you know, Anthropic's next foundation model is out, like we have to start going neck and neck. So that's basically it. I mean, like, again, it's not usable. What's usable about any of this for you and I?
Nothing.
Literally, right? Like, sure, foundation models on the horizon. It's like, okay, cool. Like, man will eventually go back to the moon, but like, what the hell am I supposed to do?
No, it's so true, dude. It's so true. The only side note I'm throwing it is naming conventions are funny. Like, you either go down the Mythos, Genesis, Omega, Alpha route, or the Max, Pro Max, or you go down Spud, Tomato, Sasquatch. You know what I mean? It's like Project Sasquatch. I think it's just like you got to pick one of the categories apparently and go, well, they're on it, bro.
That's funny, man. Capybara,
yeah. But I think, you know, we'll flip a few we'll jab a few of these topics in like 20 seconds just to save the 15 minutes that it otherwise would have taken to figure out what the hell is going on. Actually, interesting point on OpenAI. They have just confirmed some funding, which is worth just touching on, actually. So let me just throw this one out there. OpenAI raised $122 billion at an $852 billion valuation. I wonder if there's something for unicorns $1 billion, but is there something they call a $1 trillion company? Is that like an actual name for that? I do wonder.
Kind of like it's got to be Spud or Capybara. Or
some kind of wild one. Okay, we'll come back to this in the thing. What was interesting to me, okay, so here's an interesting discussion point on this. OpenAI closed the biggest private round in history, so it's record-breaking, while investors quietly flee to Anthropic. So this happened on March 31st. So we're talking literally 2 or 3 days ago. $122 billion funding round confirmed, which was $12 billion more than they wanted to. Post-money valuation, $852 billion. Interestingly, Amazon's put in $50 billion, with 35 of that billion contingent upon IPO or reaching AGI. Nvidia's thrown in $30 billion. SoftBank's collab with $30 billion. $3 billion from retail investors. 900 million weekly ChatGPT users, 50 million paying subscribers, 2 billion a month in revenue. So I wonder what that
is. That a guarantee? To be clear, you said 35% contingent on AGI?
Yeah. No, 35. So 70% of the investment is contingent upon AGI or an IPO.
What? Oh, that's so interesting. So wait, like it's contingent on them reaching artificial general intelligence.
Yeah. Or they IPO.
What happens if they don't reach it? What? They just don't.
I think
money?
They can do either. Like, so they've said, look, we're going to give you, how much was it now? We're going to give you $15 billion today. Take that to the bank. And then we've got an additional $35 billion. And if you either IPO or you reach AGI, either on those two events, we're going to give you the rest of $35 billion. Based on what I'm reading.
What's the like benchmark though? Like how do they know? I mean, 3-letter acronyms, AGI, IPO, sure, but like when it finishes some AGI test?
Yeah. I mean, like they need to check our last episode. I think we defined it in the week 2 episodes ago. If they're unsure, they can pull it up in the court documents.
Yeah, they can pull it up.
It's as good as a dictionary definition, actually. So
Nick and Jack 2026.
That's it. Yeah, according to Nick and Jack in 2026, AGI is defined as like, you won't get a more accurate definition than that. One interesting point just to throw out there, just for some context, is that investors have deployed $2 billion into Anthropic on the secondary market in the same value. So that's pretty crazy, dude. You think about OpenAI's closed $122 billion. Anthropic has closed dude, you can do a lot with $120 billion. Do you know what I mean? That's an insane amount of stuff. Round data shows Anthropic, it wins now 70% of head-to-head matchups against OpenAI. And OpenAI's enterprise API market share has dropped from 50% to 25%. ChatGPT's app market share fell from 69% to 45%. The round is historic, but the underlying trend is brutal.
Damn. Well, the 122 billion is obviously a massive investment, that, and then all the data centers and training centers that they're spinning up here. That means that like the models 2 generations down are going to be incredible. You know what I mean? Because it takes a long time for that to come up. But I guess the question that they really need to answer is like, is that enough to beat Anthropic's RSI lead, like recursive self-improvement? If their models are so far ahead and they're now being used to design the next generation of models, intelligences, and also do strategic decision-making, because they're so intelligent, so much more intelligent than the average person. Like, despite the fact that they might be capital poor relative to $122 billion of OpenAI that makes them capital rich, like that intelligence could very quickly and easily bootstrap up to some form of crazy market share, which lets them win. Because, you know, it's like the first person to hit that like AGI mark wins, right? Because then they design the better models that are even more efficient, even if they have less compute and stuff like that. That might be sufficient. I don't know.
No, you're right. The first person to cross the finish line, wherever we define that, is the winner. Because the recursive improvement loop is just you cannot catch up with it.